What is up, guys? So in the past I've made videos where I look at DC Comics superhero teams and even supervillain teams and create what I think they should look like and who should be on that team in the Arrowverse. In this video I will not only do that for one team because I wanted to do a new Justice League team because there are specific characters that we now know are in the Arrowverse, really just one, but I didn't really want to renew that video for just one character, so I thought, why don't I just do every single team? The teams I'm doing here are the Justice League, the Titans, the Birds of Prey, the Suicide Squad, Team Arrow, Team Flash, the Super Friends, which is Team Supergirl, the Legends, as well as the Legion of Superheroes, and the present-day Justice Society of America. On top of that, there will be a bonus one, which is a supervillain team, and that is the Legion of Doom, which I will either do after the Justice League or at the end. I don't know yet. We will see. The rules for this is that I'm only allowed to use characters who actually exist in the Arrowverse, or at least we know exist in the Arrowverse. I can't use like Wonder Woman or Aquaman or Cyborg or Nightwing because they don't exist in the Arrowverse as far as we know. In terms of characters who are dead, I can only use them if they were killed off for like purposes that for like Warner Brothers purposes, like they wanted to erase them from the Arrowverse because they're using them in the movies. Characters who were written off of the show or were killed off for story reasons or the actor wanted to leave, those characters cannot be brought back. But I feel like any character who was killed off because of Warner Brothers, I think they could 100% come back, and I don't think their death was needed at all for any of those cases. So let's start with the Justice League. So typically with the Justice League, the founding members of the team are usually 7 members. There's sometimes more, sometimes less, but typically it is 7. Now that's what I'm going to be looking at here, the founding members, not any expansion of the team, because they can really incorporate basically every character, every superhero from the Arrowverse into the Justice League like a Justice League Unlimited style. But here I'm looking at not Unlimited but regular Justice League, where it's only 7 members, and that's the founding members. So I think that the founding members of the Justice League of the Arrowverse should be Superman, aka Clark Kent, Batman, aka Bruce Wayne, Flash, aka Barry Allen, Green Arrow, aka Oliver Queen, Black Canary, aka Dinah Drake, Martian Manhunter, aka John Jones, as well as Green Lantern, aka John Stewart. That last one is a character that technically doesn't really exist yet in the Arrowverse because John Diggle, who is essentially the John Stewart of Earth 1, does not have a Green Lantern ring yet, but I feel like he probably will, either in Arrow Season 8 in the build-up to Crisis, or maybe during Crisis, or maybe afterwards, like in a flash forwards or something. But since he is a Green Lantern, he's almost always a founding member of the Justice League, and John Stewart himself was one of the founding members of the Justice League in Justice League in the cartoon, as well as Justice League Unlimited. So I think that he definitely has a place there, and the rest of them, I think all of them have been members of the Justice League at some point in some sort of media, except for Oliver Queen. But you can't really have a Justice League of the Arrowverse without the character who it's named after, the Green Arrow. So I think this is a good Justice League founding members for the Arrowverse. Supergirl is in here because she isn't really a prominent member of the Justice League from the comics, and although she definitely has a good dynamic and chemistry with Barry and Oliver, I don't think she has any place in the 7 main Arrowverse Justice League members, at least the founding ones. But I do think she actually has a place on not the Teen Titans but the Titans. The reason I'm doing Titans here, not Teen Titans, is because none of these characters are teenagers. There hasn't really been any teenager superheroes in the Arrowverse. I'm pretty sure Wally West was like 18 when he became Kid Flash. Arsenal maybe also 18. So they're technically teenagers, but at this point they're like 23 or 24, so they don't fit the Teen Titans moniker at all. That being said, I think the members of the Titans in the Arrowverse should be Roy Harper, aka Arsenal, Wally West, aka Kid Flash, Magan Maors, aka Miss Martian, Cara Danvers, aka Supergirl, as well as Thea Queen, aka Speedy, and also Joe Wilson, aka Jericho, who is kind of 100% a villain in the Arrowverse right now, but he is a hero of the comics, and I see no reason why they can't shift him to becoming a hero and joining the Teen Titans, or the Titans, maybe through losing his ability to speak, gaining his superpowers from the comics, and some other way. I think this is a pretty good team. Now, you can't really have a Teen Titans or a Titans without a Robin of sorts, or like any of those characters. I mean, there's no Beast Boy, Raven, Cyborg, Starfire, but none of those characters exist in the Arrowverse at this point. I do think a Robin does, because you have Batman and Batwoman, and you're about to have Batwing also, so you probably have a Robin of sorts, probably Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, maybe Tim Drake and Damian Wayne, but none of them exist as far as we know at this point. All I know is I think it would be pretty awesome for Arsenal and Kid Flash, as well as probably Supergirl, to have that sort of dynamic in in this show. I think that Wally and Roy and Kara can have a similar dynamic to Oliver, Barry, and Kara, and I definitely think that would work for this team. Next up, we have the Birds of Prey, which is actually a team I don't think I've ever done before at an Ultimate Arrowverse team. I don't know why, it's just that I never got around to it. So the characters who I think should be members of the Birds of Prey, which is typically an all-female team, although sometimes, for some reason, Hawk is a member. He obviously doesn't exist in the Arrowverse, so this will remain a all-female team. The members of this team will be Oracle, aka Barbara Gordon, who doesn't technically, we don't know if she exists, but we do know there is a character somewhere out there named Oracle, and considering the Bat family as a whole seems to exist, I'm going to guess that is Barbara Gordon, as well as Helena Bertinelli, aka Huntress, who is one of the main members of the Birds of Prey, along with Black Canary, aka Laura Lance. This is the Earth 2 version, because the Dinah Drake version will be on the Justice League. I feel like the Earth 2 Laura Lance, Black Canary would be on the Birds of Prey. You also have Gypsy, aka Cynthia Reynolds, as well as Mari McCabe, aka Vixen. I think those 5 characters, really 4 characters in the field, and Oracle in the background, would make a pretty good version of the Birds of Prey in the Arrowverse. Next up, we have the Suicide Squad, which isn't really a superhero team, it's more of an anti-hero team, but still, I'm including it in this video. So, more than anything, the Suicide Squad, more than any team, more than any amount of characters, the Suicide Squad characters have been written / killed off the Arrowverse shows way more than anybody else because of the movie. I don't know why specifically, but I'm pretty sure it's because they were trying to use the Arrowverse as like a testing ground for the Suicide Squad. Once they saw that people did like it, they decided to greenlight the movie, so they thought they should kill off or write off all the characters. I hate that, and because of that, I am bringing back basically every Suicide Squad member who was killed off in this video, or at least the ones that I think deserve to have a slot on this list. So you have Amanda Waller, who was killed off in Arrow Season 4. She would be a member of this team, or the leader, obviously, behind the scenes. You also have Floyd Lawton, aka Deadshot, the actual kind of leader of the team, the head of the team, who was killed off in Arrow Season 3, and he should not have been. You also have Harleen Quinzel, aka Harley Quinn, who had a cameo in Arrow Season 2 and then never returned. She would also be a member of this team. You also have Katana, aka Tatsuma Yamashiro, who was written off of Arrow in, like, I'm pretty sure Season 3 and then appeared a little bit in 4. She would be a member of this team as well, because she is a member in the movie and in the comics a lot as well. You also have Digger Harkness, aka Captain Boomerang, who died in the Arrow Season 5 finale. I'm pretty sure because of the movie universe, and while that did come out, that was, I'm pretty sure, way after the movie. They didn't really have a chance to kill off the character before that, so they just thought, we won't bring him back, but we can bring him back for this one episode and kill him off. So I would bring him back in some sort of way. You also have 2 characters who are currently existent in the Arrowverse and kind of still active, and that's King Shark, aka Shay Lambden, who appeared in The Flash Season 5 and became more of a hero / anti-hero, who I think should have a role on the Suicide Squad, and Ben Turner, aka Bronze Tiger, who at this point is more of a hero than an anti-hero than a villain, but I still think has a role on the Suicide Squad. In the movie Suicide Squad Hell to Pay, he also is much more of a hero than anything, and yet he has a role on that team. And the last 2 members I think should be Killer Frost and Heatwave, 2 characters who 100% became heroes in the Arrowverse, but I would rather them either be villains, or I think this, the best case scenario, be villains and be on a superhero team still, which is the Suicide Squad. So the team: Amanda Waller, Deadshot, Harley Quinn, King Shark, Bronze Tiger, Katana, Captain Boomerang, Killer Frost, and Heatwave would be, in my opinion, a pretty great Suicide Squad. So I'm going to do the teams for all of the shows, meaning Arrow, The Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, and I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but Batwoman as well. So for Team Arrow, I really keep what I've said before, which is Green Arrow, aka Oliver Queen, Black Canary, aka Dinah Drake, and Arsenal, aka Roy Harper, as well as a new character named Henry Fifth, who would be like the hacker, but he's not really necessary for this video, and also he doesn't exist in the Arrowverse. But those 3 characters, I think, would be just the perfect Team Arrow. For Team Flash, at this point, I would do the Flash, aka Barry Allen, Elongated Man, aka Ralph Dibny, as well as Kid Flash, aka Wally West. For the Super Friends, which is Team Supergirl, I would change it to not really being Team Supergirl, because it isn't really, it's not called that, it's the Super Friends, but I think Superman, aka Clark Kent, Supergirl, aka Kara Danvers, and Martian Manhunter, aka John Jones, would be good on that team. The reason I'm not including Brainiac 5 is because he should probably go back to the 31st century and just be a member of the Legion of Superheroes. So as for the Legends, they've really emphasized throughout the entire show that they are kind of like the reject superheroes, or at least we've been told that by, I'm pretty sure, people behind the show. So what I'm doing here is, on top of the characters they already have, which is White Canary aka Sarah Lance, Citizen Steel aka Nate Haywood, the Atom aka Ray Palmer, and John Constantine, by the way, not including Mona Wu or Charlie or Nora Dark, because they do not belong here and they're terrible, or at least two of them are terrible, and Nora is completely unnecessary. Anyway, I'm also including characters who are kind of rejects from any other team. I couldn't really find where to put them in the entirety of like all the teams. They're really not Justice League material or Titans material or Suicide Squad or any of the other teams I've got to do, so I'm putting them here on the Legends. Those characters being Nia Null aka Dreamer, Renee Ramirez aka Wild Dog, and James Elson aka Guardian. There are a couple other characters that I think could fit on the Legends, but they're not currently active in the Arrowverse, so I don't really need to put them here. And 7 characters, which I think works, or at least it's 7 characters if you don't include Gideon, which would make it 8. And there is Team Batwoman, which honestly I would just change that to, instead of being Team Batwoman or whatever it's going to be called, I would change it to the Bat Family and have Batman as the leader, not Batwoman, meaning the members would be Batman aka Bruce Wayne, Batwoman aka Kate Kane, Batwing aka Luke Fox, Catwoman aka Selina Kyle, as well as Alfred Pennyworth, the only 5 members of the Bat Family that we know exist in the Arrowverse. Alfred we don't really know exists, but we do know that the password to the Wayne Enterprises internet was Alfred, so I'm guessing he does exist. Batwing, Luke Fox isn't Batwing yet, but he's going to become. Kate Kane is about to become Batwoman, or actually already is from Elseworlds. We know that Batman was existent in Gotham City 3 years ago, and he should definitely come back. And we also know that Selina Kyle is a character in the Arrowverse. We just don't know if she's a good guy or a bad guy. I'm guessing a bad guy because her cat ears or whatever were in Arkham Asylum, but she, like the comics, can change her ways and join the Bat Family and maybe like marry Batman, like I'm pretty sure she's about to do in the comics. Anyway, those are the teams for the main shows. So, getting back to the DC comic superhero teams, we have the Legion of Superheroes. We know that Mon-El, Brainiac 5, and Saturn Girl are all members of the team, but going based off what we've been told, we know there are 10 total members, at least. Those 10 members, I think, should be Lightning Lass, which is a character who was already kind of mentioned in the Arrowverse, as they said they have a friend named Isla. Lightning Lad, a character who also referenced in the Arrowverse, although not on Earth 38 and on Earth 1, and not in the 31st century, like 30 years in the future. I don't really know how that happens, but he exists and he's a member of the Legion, so I'm including him. We also know that Dreamer has a descendant named Nura Nal, and that would be Dream Girl. We also know there's a character named Chameleons, that's Reap Daggle, also a member of the Legion. They also said they have a friend named Val, which would be Val Armor aka Karate Kid, also another member of the Legion. And those are all the characters we know are confirmed for the Legion, but we know there are 10 total members, and I went over only 8, so I would add also Cosmic Boy aka Rakrin and Phantom Girl aka Tanya Wazo. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it, but those 2 characters are unconfirmed, so maybe don't count it for this team. So it would really just be the 8 members that I mentioned, as well as 2 ambiguous members that they can introduce. So the final superhero team we're going over right here is the present-day JSA. The Justice Society of America from the 1940s that appeared in Legends of Tomorrow Season 2 used a couple members from the team from the comics, but there are a large amount of members who have never appeared, and also a couple of members who have appeared and that are just active right now in the present day, or maybe not active. Most of them are actually not active, they're just there somewhere. These characters I think should form the present-day JSA, maybe on a different Earth, but I think after Crisis they're going to merge all the universes, make it so that every superhero they've ever introduced are all from one universe, and that is where the present-day Justice Society of America should come from. The members of this team would be Jay Garrick aka The Flash, Curtis Holt aka Mr. Terrific, Ted Grant aka Wildcat, Kent Nelson aka Dr. Fate. Kent Nelson is a character that doesn't technically exist as far as we know it, but Dr. Fate's helmet does, so I'm just going to incorporate Kent Nelson as a character, as well as Jim Corrigan aka Spectre, who we don't know if he's become Spectre yet, but that doesn't really matter because we know that he will at some point in the future because of what happened in Constantine. If you don't know what happened, then either look it up on YouTube or go watch the episode. I don't really remember which one it was, but we know that Jim Corrigan is going to become the Spectre, so they can incorporate him into this team. You also have Hawkman and Hawkgirl, but since the Hawkman and Hawkgirl we had from Legends of Tomorrow were not very good, I think they can make them better just by bringing them back and writing them better, but I would prefer they just brought in the Thanagarian versions of those characters, Hawkman aka Katar Hall and Hawkgirl aka Shiara Hall, making the present-day Justice Society of America. So finally we have the Legion of Doom, who I'm guessing I'm doing at the end and not after the Justice League. So what I would do here is you have the 7 members of the Justice League: Superman, Batman, the Flash, Green Arrow, Black Canary, Green Lantern, and Martian Manhunter, and each member of the Legion of Doom would be a counterpart to each member of the Justice League, meaning there would be 7 members. For Superman, the counterpart would obviously be Lex Luthor, which is the most obvious choice ever. He's typically the head of the Legion of Doom and usually a member, except for in Legends of Tomorrow Season 2 and in Justice League Doom. I'm pretty sure basically every other version of the Legion of Doom contains Lex Luthor and is led by Lex Luthor. Anyway, for Batman, you would think the Joker, but I don't like the idea of the Joker being a member of the Legion of Doom because I don't think he really fits. He doesn't really add anything, and he wouldn't be the mastermind behind everything, which is one of the best parts about the character. And except for the rivalry between himself and Batman, I don't think he adds enough to face off against the Justice League. So instead, I would put Bane, who is a character who we do technically kind of know exists in the Arrowverse. When we went to Arkham Asylum in Elseworlds Part 2, we saw a mask that looked very similar to Bane's mask in The Dark Knight Rises, so we can guess that Bane exists. So for the Flash, I'm kind of torn between a couple of villains, those being Reverse Flash and Grodd, the only 2 villains who are right now recurring villains for the Flash, who return ever so often. Most of them just die or have died at this point, except for Grodd and Reverse Flash. Now, I think Reverse Flash would probably work a little bit better for the dynamic of it all and the rivalry between himself and Barry. On the other hand, we've seen Reverse Flash a lot more than Grodd, and I would like to see Grodd on this team. On top of that, Reverse Flash has already been in his own version of the Legion, and Grodd is a more prominent member of the Legion in the comics, even being like one of the main members, while Reverse Flash is rarely on the team. So because of that, I'm going to go with Gorilla Grodd, and he would be the counterpart to the Flash. For Martian Manhunter, a character who was recently introduced into the Arrowverse is Malefak, who is really the only member, of the Martian Manhunter Rogues Gallery, if you want to call it that, so I think that would be perfect. He was also a member of the Legion of Doom in Justice League Doom, also as a counterpart to Martian Manhunter. So for the last 3 members, it's a lot harder to find counterparts for the Legion of Doom. For Green Lantern, we've never really seen any Green Lantern villains. For Green Arrow, all of his villains have died except for Deathstroke, who is not a villain anymore and has absolutely no beef with Oliver Queen. And although I would love to see Deathstroke here on this team, this version of Deathstroke just wouldn't work at all, at least right now. They can have like a time-displaced Deathstroke where he is still corrupted by the Mirakuru. I mean, they could do that with Prometheus and Malcolm Merlin as well. And out of the 3, I would prefer to see Prometheus again because we haven't seen him as much as Merlin or Deathstroke, but honestly I think either of the 3 would definitely work. For Black Canary, she really hasn't had any villains at all in the Arrowverse except for Black Siren, who is now a good guy, and in this version of the Arrowverse would be a member of the Birds of Prey. So for these 3 characters, it's not as easy. So for Green Lantern, I'm going to introduce a new character, and that is obviously Sinestro, who is one of the most prominent members of the Legion of Doom and easily the most prominent counterpart to the Green Lantern, and also the most famous villain for any version of the Green Lantern, or really just Hal Jordan usually, but really the Green Lantern Corps. Sinestro and the Yellow Lanterns are their greatest or at least most prominent villains, so Sinestro would work here. For Green Arrow, again, I think a time displacement of one of his good villains, Merlin, Slade, Prometheus, or maybe even like one of the other non-main villains would work, but I honestly don't really want to incorporate time travel into this at all because I don't think there's no time traveler on their team. So what I would do is have it be Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke, and in some way, somehow, he got re-injected with the Mirakuru, albeit temporarily, because by the end of this whole battle between Justice League and the Legion of Doom or whatever, he is cured again. Before his stint on the Legion of Doom, he would be a member, and he would be the counterpart to the Green Arrow. For Black Canary, I'm not going to pick a counterpart for her because she doesn't have one. Instead, I'm going to go with one of the most prominent members of the Legion of Doom in the comics, and that is Cheetah, a character who does exist in the Arrowverse. We saw her as a prisoner in an Argus facility, so that means the team would be Lex Luthor, Bane, Grodd, Sinestro, Deathstroke, Cheetah, and Malefak as the Legion of Doom to the Arrowverse's Justice League. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think of my teams and what would your version of them look like? And if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.